Cannot tell me this one is just another coincidence, y'all. So check this out. A circuit court judge named Diane Goodstein just had her home blown to pieces, right? Now, this same judge reportedly refused to hand over data tied to millions of voters to this administration right before this all happened. And now her house just blows up? Come on, man. That shit is fishy as hell, dude. Look, I'm not saying I know exactly what went down, but the timing here is way too suspicious. Every single time someone stands up to the system or pushes back against the administration, something mysterious always seems to happen. If this were just some random person, maybe, okay, we might call it an accident, right? But a judge who was actively involved in a case connected to voter data? Yeah, that's a completely different story. You can call it a coincidence, but to me, this looks like another example of how deep corruption runs in this country and how far certain people are willing to go to keep control. Stay alert and stay aware, folks, and keep your goddamn head on a swivel. This administration is on one right now.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we are going to see a judge who ruled against Trump. Her house was burned down, and many people everywhere, they're asking themselves, is this coincidence? That's a real question. So guys, let's dive in. Let's talk about it. We'll be seeing people's reaction across the country, and you too, you are welcome to let me know what you think, and the credit belongs to the original of the videos. I will be back with more commentary.
Ali Carter said to pay attention to the fires. So that's how I'm going to start this video. So Trump's Department of Justice, and we are calling it his Department of Justice. It's not an actual department that cares about justice, right? They have requested that South Carolina officials overturn personal data for more than 3.3 million voters, okay? This included their names, addresses, birth dates, their driver's license numbers, as well as the last 4 digits of their social security numbers. The judge overseeing that case, her name is Diane Goodstein. She said no, protecting the information of those 3.3 million voters. You understand? Less than 12 hours ago, her $1.1 million home beach house exploded in a fire with her family members in it. With her family members in it. See, when this administration, the Trump administration, made the egregious request to demand the personal data of 3.3 million voters here in America, they said that they were doing it because they needed to compare the data to a different database, a database that was already being maintained by the Department of Homeland Security, right? But they said that they just wanted to see how many registered voters were on that list that matched up with non-citizens that were listed on the immigrations agents list. So then one voter, Ann Crook, right, she attempted to halt the process by filing a lawsuit against the South Carolina Elections Commissions, right? And then on September 2nd, Judge Goodstein, whose house just got blown up, right, issued a temporary restraining order in the case, halting the handover of voter information. And then today, her and her husband and another family member was rushed to the hospital because of an explosion that took place at her beach house. While her family members were in that home, while she was in that home. Are y'all ready to wake up? Y'all ready to wake up to realize what type of country we live in? You think that it's a coincidence that the Supreme Court cases have been ruling in his favor each and every single time? Y'all think that it was a coincidence? And if y'all go and look at the videos, the pictures of her home, because it's on the news, you can go and look it up. Right? The entire home, 3 stories, engulfed in flames, while the surrounding homes around it, they're fine. It's just her home. It's just her home. It's just her home. So it's not a wildfire. And then that's why they said it's probably started by an explosion. And the only thing that people know about this judge is that she overturned and decided to rule against Trump. She did not rule in favor of Trump. In fact, she decided to look out for the actual American citizens. And her husband had to try to save her, another family member, before he jumped. He jumped, ended up breaking his legs, hips, multiple bones in his feet to save his life. And they did this to show her a lesson. Not just her, though. All of us. All the other politicians, all the other judges, best believe they're getting a warning right now. They're getting a warning right now. They definitely are. And this administration is going to make sure to have all of the politicians in their back pocket, because right now they're in the country that doesn't exist's back pocket. That's America's daddy right now. That's America's daddy. The country that doesn't exist is America's daddy. And unless America gets on that Nepal type of timing, it's over. It's over. Because it's definitely not a democracy. We don't live in a democracy. This is not even an oligarchy anymore. We're getting straight into dictatorship. You're going straight there. Well,
so guys, actually, let me read this article for you. According to Political and AP News, South Carolina Judge Diane Goodstein home's caught on fire October 4th. Her family was inside the house and 3 were injured, and she had recently ruled in case of involving Trump-related voter data, and she had reported getting treated before the fire. Investigators say they will still search for cause, and so far no confirmed evidence of any person. So guys, this is what people are saying online. They're saying like, oh, is it coincidence or it's somehow related? But that's people opinion. It's not it doesn't like confirm anything, because it's not yet confirmed. We're still waiting. If I know anything, of course I'll update you. And this is insane. This is crazy. I can imagine what she's going through. I feel sorry. And of course, you can imagine how she's scared and how she feels. So guys, let's keep watching. I'll be back.
Breaking news about Judge Goodstein in South Carolina. Her house went up, almost completely destroyed from, quote, an apparent explosion, unquote. And this is the same judge that in September denied the Trump administration through the DOJ to have access to the state's voting information. That ruling was later overturned by the Supreme Court, but Goodstein, like many, was targeted as a Trump enemy, a liberal judge. Russian intelligence have an axiom that is very instructive of what's happening in American politics. This story is an example. No person, no problem. Meaning, get rid of the person who represents the problem, whose ideas or actions are the problem, you get rid of them. And then, is that what happened to Judge Goodstein? I don't know. She wasn't even home at the time. She was out walking her dogs, reportedly. And she is all right, although several other people were injured by the fire, whatever we figure out the cause to be, and they'll figure it out. Arson investigation, the inception of fires, very good investigating skills. And could an explosion have been something unintentional? Yeah. Systems blow up all the time. Burners, HVACs, all kinds of things happen. So the truth is enough. So let's see what that truth is. But that's why it matters. And the idea of feeling one way or the other about her house getting blown up for political reasons, now that's the real fear. And that's what's happening on social media right now. You won't see it on my show on News Nation. You won't see it on my podcast by choice, but you could. People are weaponizing this because division pays, because social media makes it pay.
South Carolina Judge Diane Goodstein's home burned to the ground today in a suspected arson attack with bodily injury, as her husband literally had to jump out of the building in order to get to safety. This comes immediately following her blocking the DOJ's request for South Carolina to turn over all of their voter rolls to the federal government. In response to this, immediately attacks from the Trump administration and Stephen Miller personally saying that Democratic judges are terrorists that need to be dismantled. And as her home is burning, Donald Trump is sending National Guard members to every Democratic city he can think of. And he is outright raging on every Democratic judge that is blocking it. And while all of this happens, you will hear nothing about political violence. You will hear nothing about violent rhetoric because it doesn't matter to them when it happens to the people that they don't like. It doesn't matter to them when it happens to the people that are getting in their way.
As actually online people are debating whether this was pure bad luck or was something planned, but and other they're like no suspicion, just don't think of anything, wait for confirmation, which I agree with, because many people are saying how come is this coincidence, because because she ruled against Trump, but so far nothing has confirmed yet, so we can't say like it's for real. That's people opinion, people suspicious, so don't go and confirm it to anyone. I'm just sharing what people are saying online, and I would like to hear what you think about this situation, because actually this is insane, this is crazy, and wow, let's keep watching. I can imagine how that family is suffering right now.
Hello, South Carolina Judge Diane Goodstein. I'm Linda, and I am so sorry for what you are going through tonight. You took a stand for democracy, and your house exploded, literally, while your family was inside. Now, before we go any further, I'd like to point out for those who aren't following this story that the explosion happened yesterday. The State Law Enforcement Division is investigating but haven't made any statements about the cause. However, I watch the news. I know how this works these days. When an act of violence happens, we're supposed to immediately come out and say, fill in the blank heinous crime was committed by someone with political views opposing our own. It is possible this was not deliberate, but you're a judge who said no to the DOJ in an attempt to protect voter privacy. So we have no choice except to assume this was deliberate, right? Despite that being the accepted approach, I have a different way of thinking. Maybe we should wait for the facts. And while we're waiting, can we all agree that violence is unacceptable? It's unacceptable whether you're a judge who stood up to the Trump administration or you're a right-wing podcaster. It's also unacceptable to incite more violence by blindly and inaccurately rushing to place blame. You have received death threats. Your house burned to the ground. 3 family members, including your son and husband, have been hospitalized. In fact, your husband was so severely injured, he was airlifted to a medical facility. These are facts. But when we jump to conclusions, create conspiracy theories, and perpetuate rumors, all we do is inflame the situation. If it is proven to be an act of terror by or on behalf of the United States government, you better believe I'll be out here screaming my head off. But until then, we need to find out what actually happened, because the truth matters. Anything else is just political grandstanding and an incitement to more violence, which is the last thing this country needs right now. Bye, Judge. I wish you peace and strength to face the days ahead.
The beachfront house of a South Carolina judge who recently ruled against President Trump just went up in flames yesterday, and it's led to multiple injuries and accusations. And while the authorities, they're still investigating, the information is tight, here is what we do know for certain. At about 11:30 a.m. on Saturday morning, Judge Diane Goodstein was out walking her dogs when her home went up in flames. And reports have indicated that her 81-year-old husband, former Senator Arnold Goodstein, and another person had to escape via an upper floor window. Then he was reportedly airlifted to a hospital for injuries, and in total, 3 people were taken in. Now, the actual cause of the fire right now, that's unknown, but whatever it was, it quickly burned the house down with aerial footage from the scene showing almost nothing left. And while officially we do not know the cause, online there was plenty of speculation, and many have concluded that this was definitely a politically motivated attack. Right in that, because recently Judge Goodstein had ruled against the Trump administration in an immigration case. Because the DOJ, they recently wanted South Carolina to hand over personal data for about 3.3 million voters. Data that would reveal the names, addresses, birth dates, driver licenses, and the last 4 of social security numbers to the Trump administration. Right, and then they would use that information to cross-reference another database to try and see if any undocumented people were unlawfully allowed to cast votes in state elections. And following a ruling to block that move early last month, her family reportedly received multiple death threats. So also, I'll say, ultimately her ruling didn't matter as the state Supreme Court overturned her decision. As you can imagine, with how high political tensions are right now and the string of attacks and assassinations we've seen on political figures, to some, her house burning, it just seemed like too much of a coincidence. And to it a lot, including politicians speculating about the motivations behind the alleged arson. Right? You had New York Congressman Daniel Goldman writing on X yesterday yesterday. Trump, Stephen Miller, and MAGA World have been doxing and threatening judges who rule against Trump, including Judge Goodstein. And adding, today, someone committed arson on the judge's home, severely injuring her husband and son. Will Trump speak out against the extreme right that did this? However, at the time he wrote that, there wasn't a confirmed suspect or motive, just heavily assumed given the circumstances.
So guys, on one part, I understand what people are saying, but it doesn't mean it's true, because the local news was saying like there was a threat before that, because the victim, she was receiving that, and when the fire happened, she was out walking the dog. That's the news they're saying. And her family was inside the house. They were able to escape, but there's 3 who are injured now in hospital. And you can imagine what she feels. She's so sad and scared, because they haven't find the cause of the fire yet. So that's what happening. That's the real news. They're still investigating, and we know soon enough. But also internet is booming. You understand, they're saying this is the bad timing. The time is suspicious. Also, is this coincidence? Because just recently, as I explained, she ruled against Trump. So in many people are putting this together and make it look like maybe it's some kind of revenge or to scare her, but also it's not confirmed. That's what people are saying. You know, people can always share their own opinion, but it's not like it's confirmed, it's people's opinion. That's why I would like to hear what you think about the situation. But so far, guys, what I can say, we can wait for confirmation from the investigation, so we know what really caused this fire. But we are sending our sorry to her, and we say like, be strong. We understand what you're going through, and we're praying for you also, because you can understand how she's scared. Can you imagine to see your house burning and you see your family, even if they try to escape but they're injured? That's really insane. That's really something people should look into. That, can you imagine how other judges are feeling? They may be scared because their life is in danger. So you understand that? And many people are saying about like, how come this time after all this happened? But other people are saying also it's coincidence. We always see fire, we always see house burning. So it's something going on, and debating more on internet, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter. And personally, I would like to know, what do you think about all this? I try to explain as much as I can, and you saw people in the video explain what's happened. Why do you think this happened? Do you think it's coincidence, or you think there's a reason behind that? What do you think? But so far, we are waiting for investigation to confirm anything. So far, no confirmation about what caused the fire. But I have comments from the people. Of course, I would like you to hear what the people are saying about the situation. The first one is this real, just coincidence? After that ruling, the timing feels too close. And the second one even if it's not connected, the trade judge get out of control. This is what I was saying. Maybe some judge, even if it's not connected, but you can hear some judge, they will get scared to, like, our life is danger, our family, if it's on the level of coming to a house and burn the house, it's scary, right? So the third one I don't support her politics, but no one deserves their family in danger. And the fourth one if investigators say no evidence yet, we should wait before judging. Yeah, that's true. We should wait before judging, but also people can share what they think, but doesn't mean it's true. That's what I'm trying to say. And the last one this shows how toxic politics has become. Everyone living in fear now. Yeah, that's why I feel like the investigators needs to clarify these things before many people scared, also judge scared. They need to investigate this deeper and find the cause of the fire. And if these things is not connected, they need to share it soon as possible so people can have peace of mind. So that's what I think personally. I don't know what you think personally. Let me know in the comment. Subscribe to the channel, guys. If it's your first time, I appreciate that. I will see you next one. Share with your friend. Bye.